Parents of the remaining schoolgirls abducted from Chibok, Borno State want the federal government to devise the same strategy used for the release of Dapchi schoolgirls and bring back their girls. The parents of the abducted Chibok schoolgirls had spent the night with the Dapchi parents before the release of the girls. This, however, raises a question of whether they had a knowledge of the girls' return.
The development, we cannot say anything other than to say thank you to those who have missed or access to negotiate with these people. Or we can even thank the militant for releasing the girl. Because our own, remain 20 days now, they are 4 years exactly in the hand of captors. But this exactly 1 month, because this girl was adopted on 20th February, and yesterday was 20th March, just 1 month. So it is welcome. We can even thank the militant for bringing the girls back.
Members of the National Assembly are among the first to express their views about the return of the abducted girls. They expect that the government is now well aware of the lessons learned in the abduction saga.
There must be a lot of background work done by the security agencies, and we must commend them for those efforts. What is very important now is to see that as a lesson and the way forward, to ensure that measures are taken to forestall similar situation. I've said this many times that in my state, this wasn't the first time. It happened like 4 or 5 times. Schools have always been targets of the insurgents.
The convener of the Bring Back Our Girls campaign group, Dr. Obi Ezekwesili, describes the return of the Dapchi schoolgirls as a welcome development. The rights activist says although the news of the return of the girls is comforting, the circumstances surrounding the adoption still requires a proper investigation.
That abduction calls to question a lot of things that our federal government has been saying. For one, how could there be a successful abduction of schoolgirls a second time in an environment that is very similar to Chibok? So in the theater of war, you had a school with almost 800, if not up to 900 students who are all girls, and you left them to the vulnerability of an abduction. How did that happen? Especially also when the government has regaled us with information on how it has completely decimated the terrorists. How could they be strong enough to carry out such successful operation? How is it that we did not learn any lesson from what happened in Chibok? How can it be that the security establishment failed again? And now we're in a situation where people are thinking that it's almost normal for us to lose children who went to school. We don't find that funny at all.
Governor Ayodele Fayose is giving no credit to the government for the return of the Dapchi schoolgirls. He commiserates with the families of the girls lost to the abduction while appealing to Nigerians to keep hope alive as better times lie ahead.
Applauding the president on bringing back home these innocent Dapchi girls does not hold water. Rather, or in the first place, the government failed to do or take their responsibilities seriously. Most importantly, the abduction and return of the girls took place without resistance. It's a sign that the APC-led federal government has lost the war against insurgents. the basis for which it came to power in 2015. It is also a clear indication that Nigerians can no longer depend on this government for their safety, as the whole process is shrouded in secrecy, raising more questions than answers.
Dapchi community offers prayers for the lost lives, but call for the unconditional release of the one girl still in Boko Haram's captivity. Adamu Jubam is the father of one of the deceased students.
Naji kadwa, naji tashin hankali. Yayin da yaran nan suka dawo gida. Aka ce babu iyata a ciki.
The surprising thing is that Boko Haram abducted these girls and still returned them in broad daylight and went back freely. All of these things troubled our imagination. We might be termed villagers, but it's surprising to us, and I wish to say we have been cheated. How will Boko Haram abduct these teenagers over 1 month, return them, and nothing was done to them? If government is serious, we need to see its seriousness with this abduction saga. But if they feel we are not Nigerians, then let it be.
Some members of the community continue to visit the family of the girls still held in Boko Haram's captivity to encourage them.
The released girls told us that the insurgents insisted she must denounce her religion, but she told them she has no knowledge of Islam and can't be. We were told that she left with 3 other Boko Haram female members elsewhere, but sent a message that we should pray for God's will to be done in her life. So I plead that government and the negotiation team should revisit the terms of the agreement to speed up the release of my daughter. Everybody has his religion, and no one should be compelled to practice a religion he or she never wishes to.
104 of the returned girls meet with the President Muhammadu Buhari, while one of them is still in Boko Haram's captivity for refusing to denounce Christianity. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari says his administration will grant amnesty and rehabilitate repentant Boko Haram members who lay down their arms and embrace peace. He also reaffirms his administration's commitment to its promise of securing the country.
The security services have since been directed to put in place further measures around all schools vulnerable to attacks to ensure the safety of our pupils, students, and teachers and school workers. To the rescued students, we want to assure you, as our daughters, that you will freely live and pursue your dreams in Nigeria of peace and order without fear of violence or molestation. While parents of Dapchi girls rejoice because of the reunion with their children, I want to appeal to the Chibok community never to lose hope or to despair. We are determined as never before to bring back our remaining Chibok daughters, and this we must accomplish, and that will be soon by God's grace. May I also warn against those elements who have chosen to make political fortune of our citizens' misfortune. Government will not tolerate any attempt by any person or group to trivialize or politicize security issues for politically motivated ends. Accordingly, security agencies will not hesitate to decisively deal with such unscrupulous characters.